Good evening, everyone. So there's a typhoon again, and I got my hair color now is black. I'm wearing the same shirt as last week because I don't really buy things. But um, someone sent me a message, and this message was about depression. So apparently, this man he has a Filipina girlfriend. They live together in the Philippines. So I think they live somewhere in Cebu or something. I don't know. So according to him, he saw my video about Filipino happiness, that Filipinos were always happy. That was from my last video, and you can check it out below. And he said that he really appreciated that video, but he's actually kind of not suffering, but kind of worried right now. Apparently, his girlfriend is suffering from depression. So he doesn't know what to do about it because the way I think he's from US or Canada, the way his country or maybe Europe manages depression, they would go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and then get medication and then and so on and so forth. But apparently his girlfriend doesn't want to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist because she kept on saying, I'm not crazy, I'm not crazy. And um his girlfriend kind of like not really gave birth to their child, but it's already like a few years already. No, maybe his child is already like 1 or 2 or 3 years old, but I don't know. But anyway, they have a child, so but that child is still young, according to him. And he doesn't know what to do about his wife's depression. And he doesn't know how to convince her to go to a psychologist. Well, first of all, I don't want to speak about this because I'm not a professional with this thing. This I believe that this is a medical concern. But um yeah, recently a lot of Filipinos are suffering from depression. It's really sad, and maybe because of, expectations and so on and so forth. You didn't really give me the details of what your girlfriend is going through. All you told me was she was suffering from depression, and you don't know how to handle it because you have a different culture. Because in your culture, you would go to the hospital right away or see a counselor or something. Well, first of all, as as a medical practitioner, I cannot say anything. I believe you have to go to it's better for you to go to see a doctor. But if I'm gonna comment on this one, where first of all, I'm really sorry to hear that. Depression is something that is difficult to just brush off. I've been there when I was 21 and maybe a few months when I was in Tokyo. Um, so when I was around 20, 21, maybe 22, around like that, 23, 24, those age before I came to Japan, I was suffering from depression. I think it was a trigger in my case because since I was in high school, I would see my guidance counselor. So my parents are separated, as I've mentioned before, and I'm in a dysfunctional family. I felt there are so many things that happen in my life. Like I was, like they allowed my parents. They were not really good, so I was given to different relatives every now and then, and it was just yeah, it's dysfunctional, really. But I'm quite fortunate that I have good friends, and when I started working, I have wonderful bosses, except for the last one. But it's also my fault because I didn't express my depression with them, but it's also because they treat it differently, I suppose. I mean, I don't know, but I felt more grounded when I was working with my boss from Holland than from my boss from Korea. So anyway, when I was suffering, because I just kept on going because it's how what I did since my parents separated. And in my country, when you say you have depression, and that time the word depression doesn't even exist. So if your girlfriend is around my age or younger than me, it still doesn't exist. It's just recently, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when depression started coming to light in my country and it's being, like addressed properly. So if you say in my country that you have depression, they would think you're just dramatic, you're crazy, you're weak, you're just giving up on things easily. So it's heartbreaking. So that time I was really I really don't want to talk about it, but yeah, I was at this point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna have my last holiday, something like that. But no one would ever believe me because they thought, like, you're strong, because maybe they got used to me of being strong, and they wouldn't really believe you. Plus maybe they have their own issues, so meh. But anyway, so that's it. I talked about me, right? I'm just telling you on my perspective, like why I understand your situation. Well, as for a Filipino with a depression way back and a few years ago, perhaps. I thought it's a ghost, but it's my lotion back there. Anyway, and my books. So, yeah. It's difficult for Filipinos to accept that they have depression, or maybe now it's more open, but maybe in her community or where she grew up or her surroundings, they didn't really accept that. Uh, because we are expected to be resilient, to be strong, to just face things, to hope, to dream, and then to pray to God, which is, I don't know if it's helpful, but I didn't do that. But I went to a lot of temples and shrines when I was depressed here in Japan. I think it was the changes. So I got fat. I wish I just got thin. But anyway, depression is crazy. Especially for Filipinos, it's not so acceptable. Seeing a doctor. So first, let me tell you what. First of all, why wouldn't she want to see a doctor? First of all, in my country, there's a belief that if you would see a doctor, you are mentally ill. Like they're the ones they're gonna send you to Mariveles, Bulacan. Mariveles is like an institution, like an asylum for crazy people. And that has a negative connotation in my country. Number two, it's a waste of money. I don't know if our government supports mental health, but they do. I heard they do, but I don't know if it's covered by our health insurance. I'm talking about the national health insurance because our national health insurance has limitations. So I don't know about that. Number three, scrutiny from other people. Other people might think you're weak, you're just dramatic, you're crazy, you know. And then, like, or maybe it's karma for you because you have been selfish and so on. Number four, money. A lot of Filipinos are afraid to spend on going to a psychologist because it's a waste of money. And it's still quite expensive to see a psychologist in my country just because it's rare. Usually, rich people do that for annulment or mental health problems. But in my case, before, I just talked to my school counselor. They're psychologists, right? Actually, I didn't talk at all. I was just sleeping in her office. And my grandma was worried because my grades were going down in high school that time. But I think it was because I was a teenager. But I turned out well. And then, last but not the least, they're afraid of admitting that they have depression. I suppose when you have depression, you just want to go and let go, and sometimes you're being in denial about it. So those people who says like they have depression, some of them, they're they don't know it. Some of them, they know it, but they're in denial. So I have been there. Like, I'm not depressed, I just want everything to end. That was my mind. I didn't even think like, I'm depressed, look at me, I'm depressed. No, 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 not like that. So I think that's the reason why she fears it. Now, what can you do in order to encourage her? Well, that's a good question, and I really thank you for addressing that. Well, first of all, it's really nice if, you know, let her talk to her friends and family. That's the first step. But don't tell, don't tell them that she's depressed or anything. She would be embarrassed to do that. And maybe if you want to tell it to someone, her mom or someone close to her is okay. But make sure that person doesn't gossip because it's gonna crumble your girlfriend more. And yeah, you can go with her at the doctor. Maybe go to a gynecologist first. Maybe she has postpartum depression, or her hormones change. Maybe she needs some vitamins or something. Because when I was sick, I sorry guys, I had my period for a month, and my emotions were crazy. So I had to take like vitamin supplements to control my emotions. And then number two, this is weird, but go to church with her. I wouldn't really recommend this, but for some Filipinos, going to church is something relaxing. Number three, travel somewhere, leave the place where you are. Don't push on her, just say, let's travel, let's go here, let's go there. Just do it. Number four, maybe if you want to go to see a doctor, maybe don't say it's a doctor, just say it's a counselor. It sounds better to hear a counselor than a psychologist or a psychiatrist, because when you say psych, it sounds a bit negative for Filipinos. Of course, unless you studied that or you're well aware of it, it's okay. And then, yeah, say we're gonna see a counselor together. So it's important to be together always. And then number five, just keep on being there. But of course, take care of your mental health as well. You couldn't really help other people if you're also suffering from it. And then the rest, I leave it to the doctors. But I hope this answers your question. To be honest, I don't know if I answered your question, but I just want you to know that it's challenging. Filipino culture's point of view for mental health is different. And right now, it's not yet open. A lot of teenagers are depressed and they're killing themselves, and a lot of them are dying. So it is because the people in my generation or my parents' generation, they view depression differently and they don't know how to address it. So that's why they couldn't even recognize the symptoms. But people like millennials, like younger than me or me, since we are in this age where we have enough information online, we tend to get information about depression more, and we tend to understand these people more than other people. And it's really better for you to go to a medical practitioner. But you can try out my tips as well. Now, Mira, what worked for you? Oh, well, I went on that holiday, like a week in Baguio. That's why I really like Baguio, but recently it's not so pretty. But and then I turned off my phone. I cleared my head. I just walked around, walk around and ate. Then I quit everything because I was ready. And then suddenly I found a purpose. I realized that, not realized, it took time, but I had another goal. But yeah, my plans are still scattered that time. But I decided to try out something new, like going to Japan. And from there, I don't know how other depressed people can view their lives, but mine work out that way. Changing my environment, leaving the things that almost left me sad. It was, I think, at that point in my life, everything was just, the maybe separation of my parents and then suffering, everything like that. They were all triggered during that age. But leaving them all behind was good, so it's okay. So I hope that, yeah, I hope, I don't know what your girlfriend is suffering about, but I hope my advice would help. And I hope she will be better soon, and I believe in you. But always remember to take care of yourself as well, because you couldn't really help other people if you won't be healthy yourself. And also, yeah, check out and buy her some vitamins. Maybe it's hormonal imbalance as well, if she's my age or like other people. So, or she just gave birth or something. So I hope it goes well. But please consult a professional about this. Culturally, I can explain it to you. what you can do, what I think would work, but it's an individual thing and it's a clinical thing. So I wish you the best. Thank you.